okay, you wanted to know, you wanted the behind the scenes on the process of creating, what it's like to be a content creator, and all of the behind the scenes juicy details, the good, bad, and ugly. That's what you're going to get here, because I believe in keeping it real, because I know what it's like to want to really know the actual truth. Like, give it to me real, give it to me raw. I want to know. So I'm going to tell you what it is like to be a content creator. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Julie Story. I have been a content creator full time now for almost 5 years, and I have almost 1 million followers across Instagram and TikTok. I think I'm like 9,000 away from 1 million, so I'm almost there. I don't know, should I do a cake or something? I'm so excited. Like, I cannot believe that that is even a statement that I'm saying. I never thought that that would ever happen for me. I never thought that I would reach the amount of followers that I have now, and I'm so grateful. And it's even odd for me to talk about followers in terms of like my life, because I really love to see the people that come alongside of me and get to enjoy this fun journey of comedic joy and awesomeness as like friends. Like, you guys are so supportive and amazing, and I hate talking about it like fans, but I know that's the term that makes the most sense. But it really feels like a beautiful, lovely community of people that have been so incredibly fun to create content with. And that has been a capstone of my entire creation process, is that I'm creating something with you. Most of the videos that have gone viral, a lot of them, maybe not most of them, but a lot of them have been a collaboration of, like, you've asked me, hey, will you make a video about this? And I will do it, and add my razzle dazzle and my sparkle to it. And it now has become so many people's favorites, and it's been so much fun to do that. So I'm going to take you behind the scenes of what this has been like for me and my journey, and also take you behind the scenes of what it's actually like to do this on a daily basis, and hopefully answer a lot of the questions that you guys had on my Instagram story, because this is the topic that you wanted to hear about. So we'll rewind a little bit. My career before I was a content creator, I was a graphic designer. I was doing branding for internationally recognized photographers that were all over the world. I mainly worked with women. I had a few male clients, but mainly women. And my job was to help them present online an image that best represented them, their heart, their soul, their passions of why they were a photographer. And that way they could book the right clients, the right people, and have incredible experiences photographing some of the most beautiful moments in people's lives. So that's what I did for a very long time. I ran my own company doing that. I was doing that for 9 years, and I absolutely loved it. My favorite part was getting to know the women that I would work with. We did a lot of prep work before I actually got into designing websites and logos, and I actually helped them write their content for their websites as well. We did a lot of work beforehand, and that looked like me asking questions and essentially interviewing. It's like an Oprah style interview, like a podcast style interview of these beautiful souls that I got to work with, and it was really quite wonderful. And my story is that I did that for 9 years, and then I kind of got to a crossroads personally where I had to kind of revamp for my own mental health. I really needed just to quit everything and reconnect to myself again. I went through a lot of really challenging moments, and I knew that I could not show up to my space and create something from that huge deficit, because I got lost, y'all. I got lost. There's no other way to say it. Like, I was lost. I remember sitting at my kitchen table, and I would like journal, and I asked myself every day, I'm laughing about it now because I'm just like, oh, I just want to go back and give her a hug. I asked myself every day, what do you like? And the only thing I could write down was pizza and puppies. And so for a really long time, I'm not kidding you, that was it. That was my North Star, was pizza and puppies. And I had gotten to a place, y'all. I'd gotten to a hard place. And if you're in a spot like that where you kind of feel lost, you're like, I don't know which direction to go in, I cannot recommend enough pausing as many things as you can to kind of like just regroup, just put yourself together. I can't imagine trying to create and make anywhere like close to where I am now from that deficit of like, I don't know me at all. So I just recommend rediscovering you if you need to. And I feel like I do that on an ongoing basis now, especially now being a creator and having so much input into what I'm making and what I'm doing. I have to be connected to myself. Otherwise, I will take any North Star of someone's opinion and just follow that. And that is not going to lead me to a good place either. So I paused everything, and I was on the path of trying to discover what made me happy. And I quit my business. I quit everything I was doing every day with the support of my amazing husband, which if you haven't seen, our wedding video is online. And also I did a little Q&A and a whole story time about our relationship. And you guys love that. So thank you for watching that. But my husband was super supportive and was like, hey, let's just focus on you, getting back to you. And I'm like, I love that. I love that for me. I love that for you. I love that for everybody. And that's part of the reason that I'm here. So I started waking up every day and asking myself, how do I want to play today? How do I want to express myself today? And I am an artist through and through. Like, I went to graphic design school and I love making, I love DIYing. I love, even like hair and makeup feels like an extension of that to me, because it's just like art. It's just like a way to play. Like, my face, my canvas. I love that. So I started just documenting that journey on TikTok. And at the time that I started doing it on TikTok, it was not what it is now. It was very much like nobody was using it really, other than like dances and like it was for younger kids. But I remember Gary Vee saying like, hey, like y'all need to get on TikTok. And I was like, well, let me just document like what I'm going to do every day and how I'm going to play every day. And I've talked to you a little bit about this before, but when I was documenting at the time, I was not in a position where I was myself enough to comedically explore characters and write bits and scripts the way that I am now. And so I think that for me was just putting my toe into like videos. And here's a little Julie lore for you. I have always loved videos. I thought when I was a child that I was going to be a director. I thought that I was going to be a director. That was my dream job. And rewind younger, I used to carry around one of those Fisher-Price recorders, and I would record like what I would consider now a baby podcast every day. I was talking to myself on a baby recorder. I vividly remember this at age 7 or 8, and I was doing a baby podcast. I have never met anybody else who's done that. Never. I don't even know of anybody else that maybe did that. I'm sure there are, but I have not met them. So I was like already in that like world of like, not in the world I am now, but like it felt natural for me to make videos because that's what I liked and I thought it was pretty cool. And when I was doing branding for photographers, I had made some comedic videos, and you can still find those online. They did not perform well online for me at all. In fact, when I was originally making comedic videos, even when I was doing branding and playing around, because that has always been a part of my personality. I know it's surprising to you to hear that, but it's always been a part of my personality to be comedic and silly and jovial and, making people laugh, my family, my friends. Like, this is just definitely part of who I am as a person. But at the time that I was making videos, when I was putting them online, the feedback that I was allowing myself to receive was that I wasn't funny and that I was not funny enough to be making content like that online. Because when I originally was posting them before I quit everything, I would lose hundreds of Instagram followers. And at the time, I had like 2,000 Instagram followers. So I did not have a large audience. But to put a video out there where I was like little dabble here and there of comedicness, and to watch the response be like thumbs down, I was like, oh, well, obviously, I'm not good at this at all. And let this be your first lesson, friends. Let this be your first lesson of the day. Welcome to class. Master class. Hi, I'm Julie Stoyer. Welcome to your master class. Your first lesson of the day is you should not determine whether or not you are great, funny, talented, or that you should be going in a certain direction based on the response of strangers on the internet. You shouldn't do it. I would not recommend. I had wished now that I had just doubled down and continued to make, because I have the best time. When I say I have the best time making these videos, I am having a great time. I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely ecstatic. This is the most me thing that I've ever done, is make comedic videos. So I was doing that while working in this job that I really loved, graphic design for photographers. And the response was like, no, girl, pick something else. You're better at anything. And that was really hard to process that. So I would still make them here and there, but it wasn't a focus of mine. So fast forward to when I got started on TikTok, and I was doing DIYs and expressing myself in art because that's what felt good for me at that time. and, doing room makeovers on a budget, which was super fun because it tapped into my creativity and I really got to play in that space of, creating feels like puzzle solving for me. And I love that. And I'm a huge fan of puzzle solving. Like, even just in challenges in life, I love to solve them. I love to figure it out. And on a sidebar, I'm obsessed with escape rooms. I have done with my husband almost 55. I think we're in the 54 mark. We're almost to 100. So we love puzzle solving together. But I was doing that, and the response I got online was so surprising. My first viral video was actually making a Christmas ornament, and I remember when that started to go viral, I was absolutely shocked because this had been 3 months of making videos consistently, and that was the first kind of viral one. And I was not expecting it. I had hoped that maybe something I would make one day would be seen or like go viral, and I think I got 10,000 TikTok followers from that one video, and then I started doing room makeovers, and I had most of those went viral. And I remember one video I did DIY makeover of my daughter's room, and that one went mega viral, and I think I gained like 200,000 followers in like a day. And so that was like amazing. I again was not expecting it. And as I was doing DIYs and kind of coming back into myself and taking that breath that I needed to reconnect to myself, I started making a little comedy videos here and there, and that felt really good. And here's your second lesson, class. I think that when you create from a place that feels good to you as a creator, there is something magical about that. There is something that people can feel. There's something that people can experience. And there's an inspiration there and a connection that's there that is just unlike anything else. And I think that this one piece of my story is the gift that I want to give to anybody that will listen, is that if you can connect to yourself and connect to those parts of you that feel most natural, and you can make from that space, you will be unstoppable. And I do not believe that that has to be a certain way. Like, it doesn't have to be like, oh, you're only going to create like through videos, or oh, you're only going to create through like one, medium of creation or sharing that with others. I believe that can be in your relationships. I believe that could be you as a parent. I believe that could be you in your community. But if you can connect to yourself and take steps towards the things that make you happy, there is an energy and a synergy there that is unlike anything else. And it has the potential and the opportunity to connect you with the most beautiful people and to fulfill you and to give you energy, and that energy turns into this magic that you get to share with other people. So for me and my story, that came after a while, probably a year of reconnecting to myself, playing, learning how to create in a way that connected to people. And also I was really grateful for the opportunity to connect with these amazing watchers of my content. And that just meant the world to me, that I could create something and it could give something to other people. And I believe that if we're able to make things that give to other people and keep other people as the focus, oh my God, there's just so much there that is so beautiful, and such a gorgeous exchange of the human experience, and we can make something that gives to someone else. And so when I was creating with the watchers in mind, of like, what would I be curious to watch too? Like, what would I want to see? And like, what are they asking for? And how can I make sure that I'm showing this in a way that resonates with the people that I'm sharing it with? And how can I keep the people that will see this as the focus too? So like, maintaining that energy of, I like to do it and it feels good to me and this is really enjoyable for me to create it, but also how can I give within that space? If I feel full and if I feel happy and I feel light and creativity and I'm synergized with myself, I am set up to succeed if I can give to someone else from that space. And I believe, and I know you've heard this before, like, you cannot give from an empty cup. You can't. And at the beginning of my journey of starting TikTok and starting to make videos, I was extremely empty. I was very, very empty. But I was documenting as a way for me to still enjoy the process of creating while trying to fill my life with things that made me happy. And when things finally started to take off for me, it really was from a different place, a different energy, where I was a little bit more settled, a little bit more grounded in myself, a little bit more full. And taking that as the focus every day to make sure that I was filling myself up. And then from that place, being able to share, documenting. There was a time when I did not have the energy at all to create anything. And there's no way I could have given that. Like, I can't give if I'm not full of that, love for myself and, just taking care of myself mentally and emotionally. So, after I was dabbling in doing comedic videos, I really started to lean a little bit more into that. I was still doing DIYs, but it was a very gradual process because, again, like, I was still in the process of healing and growing and wasn't at the place that I am now. And while all this was going on, there was a lot of stuff that was going on personally for me that it was such a challenge. I want to be very clear in my story that this was not rainbows and butterflies. This was not rainbows and butterflies for me. The reason that I was so empty was because we had just gotten a lot of personal struggles thrown at us. And it is struggles I've never met anyone that has ever been through it. I've never met anyone who has gone through the intense amount of struggles and pain and the situation that I went through. I've never met anyone who's gone through it. And so not only was I going through that, but I was also like trying to heal, and it was very much a challenge. And so my creating online really became like an outlet for me to connect and to play and to create. And as I created more and more, I got more connected to myself, and the things in our life that were crazy were settling down. Great. And that began a new journey of healing for me, because after something is done, your muscles are sore. So you then have to heal from that. So that all was going on in the background. And it's always interesting to me, because a lot of times when we watch creators online, like, we really just see the highlight reels. I mean, every time we're watching a creator online, we're seeing the highlight reels. But I felt like if I could move through my pain and use comedy as a way to bring light to some of those areas that were frustrating, even minor inconveniences, it meant that I could give something in the middle of the dumpster fire, and that felt better. That felt better than just sitting in the dumpster fire burning. So my beginning of creating the comedy type of content was a long time ago, and just kind of sprinkled in through. And my first, probably and most known video was the printer video. That particular character was created because I was giving my husband a present. I was giving him a gift of an escape room that is a tabletop escape room. Okay, this is the story of how Printer was created, that character. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, he's coming home from work. I have like 45 minutes. I want to give him this tabletop escape room, and I'm going to wrap it, and I'm going to put, like, those letters from like the ransom letters that are like different, whatever. And I was like, okay, so I'll print out those ransom letters, and I'll make it connect to the tabletop game, and we'll go to dinner, and I'll give him this gift. And so we got 45 minutes to do it. I'm like, this is plenty of time. This is plenty of time. And so I go to print, and Printer hates me. Again. And I have struggled with Printer my whole life. Okay, apparently I have blocked it out, but a long time ago, I was trying to print something, and I got so frustrated, I just got up and went and bought a new printer. And my husband reminds me I did this. I don't remember this because I'm just blocked out of my mind, because I have fought for my life with Printer my entire life. So she was not printing. She would not print these letters, and I did everything. She did all that. We don't have magenta. We don't have cyan. We don't have, like, she was giving me, still feel it in my body, the frustrations of trying to, like, get her to do what I needed her to do, because I was on a timeline, and that was my first mistake. Okay, I already know it was a mistake. She knew I was in a rush. Couldn't get her to print, and she finally printed, and I was just like, and I had these heart-shaped sunglasses that were in my room. I don't know that the first video she had heart-shaped sunglasses. I had these sunglasses in my room because I was supposed to go on a trip with one of my friends and the trip got canceled. Okay. And I was devastated the trip got canceled. I had not worn the sunglasses. I bought 2 pairs of sunglasses for this trip. I bought a regular pair and a heart-shaped sunglasses. And I had to cancel this trip because of some of the things that were going on in my life that were really hard. It was not good time, guys. So when I say, when I was creating stuff, there was stuff going on. It was not all pretty, okay? I had not been able to wear the cute heart-shaped sunglasses because I was supposed to go on a trip that got canceled because of the life stuff that was going on that was so difficult. I can't even tell you how difficult this stuff was, but please believe me, it was difficult. So I just grabbed the sunglasses and I was just like, oh, like I'm gonna express my frustration. And it was all improv. And that video went viral. And then I created another video with the heart-shaped sunglasses. Again, like I hadn't got to wear these glasses because I was supposed to go and like they were sitting in my room with my bag that I had to unpack because of the stuff I was going through. So that is how Printer started. It started from a place of frustration, and the response was so overwhelmingly amazing. Like I was not expecting that video to go viral, especially because like I already felt like I was still in a position where I felt like I'm not even funny. Like I don't even deserve to show up here. Like it was me and my imposter syndrome both coming to the table and having a little bit of a convo. Okay. It was not expected that it would do well at all. I just was like, all right, we're just making now. This is what feels good to me right now. So I'm going to make this. And that began a really fun journey together of creating characters, because on that video, I'm not sure what the next one I created was, but I would get comments from my fans and friends saying like, hey, my online friends, like, hey, like, could you make this or could you make that? And so I just started listening and creating videos that were being asked of me. And then I would listen to myself too. A lot of the times when I'm creating, it is very much improv. And there will be times where a line will just like pop into my brain and I will jot it down. And then if I sit with that for a second, I could write a script. But sometimes if I just get a line, I will grab glasses and just go. A lot of what you see online, I would say probably 70% of the videos that I'm creating are 100% improv. Like it is just, I have the idea, I'm going to feel that energy and I'm going to run with the energy. And for me, that is such a fun, thrilling experience because I don't know what I'm going to say next. And so I've started including recently in my more recent videos the points where I'm breaking character, because sometimes because I am doing an improv, I have absolutely no idea what is coming. And for me, like this is the process that works well for me. And again, if you're in a journey of creating, just double down on you and double down on what you're already great at. Whatever you're great at, double down on that. Like, do not try and remake somebody else's system. You can be inspired by somebody else. You can learn from somebody else. Oh my God, I love learning from other people. Every time I'm doing hair and makeup, please know I am listening to someone's YouTube and I'm listening and learning. I love learning from other people. It's so fascinating to me. People are so fascinating. So I am really good at just going with the flow and getting into a synergy and getting into just a rhythm of, if I hear a line or I hear like a thought, I will just create. An example of that is I did one where I was literally in the middle of making lunch and I held a banana and I was like, oh my God, what if this banana found out that it's not like a phone anymore, because our phones are not shaped right? And I literally just picked up a pair of glasses, went in there and created a video, and you guys loved it. And so that's the process that works really well for me. So another tip in this masterclass is you have to find the process that works for you. There's a lot of different ways that creativity will come to us. I know the creator of Spanx, Sarah, she talks about how she has to have a space in her world where she is thinking, and she works from an office. I think it's pretty close to her home, but her drive time to work is her think time. And that's where she gets a lot of ideas, and a lot of different creative thoughts will come to her. And so for me, a lot of times my think time is just when I'm doing like just around the house things, like I'll be making lunch, I'll be making a cup of coffee, or if I'm cleaning the house, sometimes I will have like these lines just pop into my head. And I have learned now to capture those. Like if I'm not in a position where I can just immediately create something, I will write it down in my notes app. My notes app is like full. It's full of scripts that I haven't even performed yet. It's full of ideas. It's full of ideas from you guys. Like, it is just, it's a mess in there. I hope nobody goes through that. I feel like they would be very, very confused at like everything that is in there. But that has really worked well for me, is having think time and having a space where I kind of collect everything. And I also really value the space that my body and my mind is in. I respect the fact that because I'm a creative, my creative energy is not going to be all the time. It just won't. And so I really have learned to capture that moment when I feel up for it. And that is another tip that I will give you and leave you with is when you are creating, make sure that you are not emotionally exploiting yourself. Respect your mind, respect your body, respect your mental health, so that when you create, it can be something that feels good to you and that feels good to the people receiving it. Because when people create out of a space of like desperation, or even that energy where you're kind of exploiting your mind and your body and your soul, you are going into emotional debt for the sake of that. And that is not something that will be able to sustain. It will not be something that you will be able to go on for a long amount of time. You will eventually burn out. And as somebody who's created almost every day for the past 5 years, I can tell you that there have been very specific times and days where I have not made anything. And I have stopped, I have paused, I have taken a break, I've taken a mental health day, I've gotten out of the house. I have learned, and I learned this a little bit I learned this a lot in when I was doing branding and graphic design, a very creative, heavy career, designing websites, a new website every 2 weeks. I was designing a new website every 2 weeks for 9 years. If you are not in a space where it feels good to create, it is time to stop. Because if you try and force yourself to create because you have to, or there's this timeline, or there's a sense of urgency, or the sense of like FOMO, you're gonna get left behind, or you're not gonna get those followers that day, or whatever it is, you will burn yourself out. You'll become emotionally exhausted. Your own like soul, I feel like, can start to resent what it is that you're doing, because you're having to exploit yourself and you're having to go into debt for the sake of that anxiety. And so I think that knowing yourself and knowing when is a good time to create, when's a good time to stop, when is a good time to reevaluate your process is also really important. As a creator that has gone viral so many times, I don't even know how many times I've gone viral now, and that is not to brag, but just to say I know what it's like to have eyes on me, and I know what it's like to have pressure of like, what's the next thing going to be? And I cannot create from that pressure at all. As soon as that pressure is applied, or as soon as I start looking at, I have to get followers, I have to this, I have to that, I now taken the focus off of giving, and now the focus is on getting. And when that shift happens in me, it is absolutely exhausting. My creative, fun, comedy brain literally shuts down. It cannot create from that place of I have to get. It is the most fulfilling and the most magical and the most wonderful experience to create from a place of I get to give. And that for me is the priority of my heart, my soul. And even as I've grown larger and worked with brands, doing promotions and working with brands of products that I really love, when I sit down with their team, the first conversation that I have with them is how important it is for me to give. That is the first conversation I have. Every single brand that I have sat down with, that I have talked to their team, I tell them the number one priority for me is my audience. Number one. I want them to feel loved. I want them to feel inspired. I want them to feel like that they are in a space that is fun and authentic and joyful and all those wonderful things, because I know that life is hard sometimes and people are hard to deal with sometimes, and we have these different things going on in our lives that are very difficult to go through. And so if I can be a space where people feel that breath, and something that people told me a lot in my life is that I'm like a breath of fresh air. And so if I can be that breath for somebody going through something difficult, that's what I want to be. And I do not want to exploit use, manipulate, or do any of that to anyone. Never. So I always prioritize that conversation when I'm even having, business conversations. Like, hey, I'm going to protect them. These are my people, and I want them to feel all those things. And, part of the heartbeat of why I'm even doing what I'm doing right now and doing comedic videos is because, again, I've told you this before, at the time that I was going through those difficult times, comedic videos online were the reason that a really big reason how I got through it. And it seems really simple and silly to say that, but when those difficult things were going on, I needed an escape. I needed an escape from my world, and I needed a reason just to take a break, to have a laugh, to have that moment of just like, that breath that comedy can give us. And so now to be doing that for other people is just an absolute gift to me. So as I created the comedic videos and got to know myself a little bit more and got to know, that play, technically, when I was creating the videos, I'll take you through some of the behind the scenes of actually doing that. So when I'm doing character to character conversations, it is the most fun for me to actually switch back and forth between the characters in the moment because I'm able to improv their conversations right then and there. So having glasses make that really easy because it allows me to switch the character without having to do too much physically so that I can stay in the moment and stay in that, energy of the conversation between the characters. And at the beginning of doing this, it was challenging because I would do multiple takes of the same character, maybe saying it a little bit different because I was still learning myself and still learning character development, still learning acting skills. I have no training in anything. I'm just showing up going, I don't know, let's try this. And that was great. And I love that. I love doing that. I love doing that still. And it also, created challenges because a lot of times I don't know what I'm doing and I am learning as I go. And at the beginning of, focusing more so on comedic videos, which was probably about 2 years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I was still very much not knowing what I was doing and learning. And so what that looked like for me is I do multiple takes and then I would have this really long video. A lot of times the videos that I was originally recording for the double characters, like dryer, missing sock, dishwasher, maybe, printer, I would have probably 20 minutes that I would cut down into 1 minute videos. And that was a challenge because it meant that a large part of my day was just editing. So for me, recording a video is very fast. If I'm doing 2 characters, I will have it done in, before it was 20 minutes. Now it's down to maybe 10, a lot of times less than that. One recently that I did was like Christmas tree. I think that was like a 6-minute long that I cut down into a minute and a half or so. So at the beginning, it was a lot longer, which meant my process was longer, which meant the way I spent my day was longer because I was learning. And another lesson for you to take forward is that you are not going to be perfect on the first go. You absolutely are not. And that is the beautiful part of the journey of becoming and creating and learning about yourself. You're not going to get it right. And you're going to look back on past stuff that you did and go, oh my God, that's a little cringy. It's a little cringe. That's okay. Cringe is fine. We all have cringy moments. Cringe is fine. We love a cringe, okay? Because it's part of the story, right? And so I was not fast at the process at the beginning, and I really had to learn and dial in, and it took probably a year before I was like, this is only allowing me to make 1 video a day. Doing it this way means that I'm not able to create as much as what I would want to do. And so I had to adjust my process, adjust how I was creating characters. And probably a year ago was when I started doing more camera to characters instead of character to character. And that changed the game again. And that brought a whole new level of play in for me. And when I started these characters, more so like point of view type of videos, I knew that I wanted to create relatable videos. That's a word that resonates with me a lot, and that I love to create with something that's relatable and authentic. But also I knew that I am the personality, and I know this about myself, I don't want anything to prevent me from doing what feels fun in the moment. So for example, I wanted to create this skit and I did not have a telephone. This is how the props started. This is how the crazy props started. I wanted to create this video and I was like, oh my God, I need to go to Goodwill and see if I can find a telephone. And like days were going on of like, I had the energy for the skit. I had the idea for the skit. I had the motivation to do it. Everything was ready, but I didn't have a phone. And I was like, forget it. I went in my garage and I was like, what looks and feels like a phone? And I had a bike seat in my garage. And I was like, this will do. And I was like, okay, well, what looks and feels like a cord? And I had a bungee cord. I'm like, perfect. And that was so fun and interesting for me and fun and interesting for you to see that I was like, oh, this makes so much more sense than having to go buy props or go buy things or to wait days and days to go out and find a prop. It makes so much more sense to use what I already have. And that's when I realized this is also very consistent for me as a person. I have said my entire adult life, rock what you got. Rock what you've got. Don't let what you don't have keep you from doing things. This is going to sound ridiculous, but I'm going to keep it real. There was a long time that I did not create videos because I'm renting this place right now that I'm in, and this color of wall drives me crazy. I want white walls. I want white walls. I did not create certain videos, and you can go back on my YouTube as well. You'll see like a board in the back that I had created for a photo shoot. I use that because I was like, oh my God, I cannot create in my house that I'm renting because I can't paint the walls. What am I going to do? And I lost sight of rock what you got. Your walls don't have to be white. Guess what? I don't have a cool podcast background. You know what I got? A wall that I don't like. But you know what? We're going to make it work. We're going to make it happen. And I realized that so many parts of my life, I'm so good at rock what you got. Okay, you have a phone that's made of a bike seat. And then other areas, I forget that wait a second, this is an opportunity for me just to start. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a white wall. It doesn't have to be a studio. It doesn't have to be anything. It could just be what you have. And that is more than enough. And if I had started YouTube when I have wanted to start, which was way back in the day, I started kind of doing makeup videos here and there, but I never posted any of them because I felt oh my God, I don't have the things. I don't do all the things. And I'm like, gosh, I wish I would have just doubled down and just went with it. And so this is just your reminder. Maybe you need this reminder today. Is rock what you got. It does not have to be perfect. It doesn't have to you don't have to have it all together. You don't have to look like anyone else. You don't have to do it like anyone else. The way that you do it and the way that you start, you're going to learn so much along the way. And I'm so glad that I did not wait to go and buy a phone. And I was just I'm just going to use a bike seat because now that's a thing. And we do that together. Now doing ridiculous props has become something that you really enjoy. But when I tell you, I enjoy prop hunting in my house. The way that it thrills me to go out in my garage and go, okay, I'm going to play dentist today. What feels and looks like a tool that a dentist would use? And it allows me that part of puzzle solving that I'm already really interested in and I'm already really intrigued by. It allows that part of me to have a space because now I'm puzzle solving, and I'm puzzle solving in a way that makes sense to you and that's funny to you and that's really fun and funny to me. And that's what happened with my ChuckECheese lanyard as well. I was like, all right, I'm going to play doctor. What do they have on? What's a doctor's vibe? What do they have on them? What are they wearing? Okay, a name badge. I didn't have a lanyard, but you know who did? My teenage daughter, who had her first job at ChuckECheese. So I was like, great, I'll just use this. This will be my lanyard. And you loved it, and I love it. And now it's a part of this Julie universe that I've created. And I explore more of that over on my Patreon. I have a Patreon where I'm talking more behind the scenes about different skits. I'm actually showing the prop hunting of actually going in my garage, and I'm talking you through what I'm thinking when I'm oh, I need stuff for whatever the dentist put in your mouth, that gunk. Whether it's numbing cream or whatever it is, I'm oh, look, Elmer's glue. That is, goopy. Let's try that. So that's on my Patreon as well, more behind the scenes of actual videos. And also the Julie Story universe is on there as well. I have character names. I have backstories on them. Like all of these characters, I've built them out. And as I was creating different characters, I realized I was saying some of the similar names when I would be like a doctor talking to her assistant. And now that assistant is in multiple videos. And so there's different universes that have been formed. ChuckECheese University is a school that I have made up now where it's a very prestigious school. Actually, most of the doctors that you've seen on my channel, actually all of them, have all gone to ChuckECheese University. So that amount of play was all from just me using what I already had and making that work. And it's interesting now to look back even on my DIYs. I was doing DIY home makeovers on a budget because I didn't have a budget to make my room look like it cost $1 million. But I did have creativity and I did have the resource of my ideas and the resource of my puzzle building. And so, you know, carrying those parts of me forward in my process of creating and seeing how it all fits together, it makes so much sense why me as a person, I gravitate towards different things. And I feel like for me, the beginning of me creating online, building a business, was looking at somebody else and seeing their invisible strings that tied them together. The photographers that were like, why are you shooting weddings? And asking questions that help them self-discover. Oh, I shoot weddings because when I was 5 years old, I was looking at my grandmother's wedding album and I saw in there a brooch that she had from her great-grandmother. And then when I got married, I had that brooch, and it's so beautiful to me to see heirlooms from a family. And to sit across from a woman and go, do you realize the reason that you're so connected to photographing weddings is because you love nostalgia? You love the pieces of family history and the pieces of people's stories that get to come forward to the future with you and your kids and your great grandkids. And to watch how that set people up and set them up on a journey to move forward with that knowledge about themselves was so incredibly fulfilling for me. And to be able to do that in myself, of looking at the pieces and the story in my life and seeing what common themes are in my life and what common occurrences. How have I used my creativity? What things am I great at? Where's my resilience? Where's my imagination? What things do I gravitate towards? And what are things that people have said about me my whole life? And to see them so beautifully orchestrated now together, allowing me to create videos in the way that I do it now, it makes so much sense. But I didn't get here from just landing here. I got here from the journey. I got here, like, it's the climb, y'all. It's the climb. I got here from the wrestling and the tension and the discomfort and the frustration and feeling lost of what am I supposed to be doing? What was I made for? And you kind of hear this like romantic idea that like we all have like a path and we all have this thing that we're meant to do. We all have this part. And I feel like that over romanticizes the human experience of what we're able to give and how we're able to love and inspire people at different parts in their story and different parts of their life. At the time that I was doing graphic design and branding for photographers, that is what I was supposed to be doing during that time. I learned so much. It was so fulfilling. It was amazing. I got these incredible experiences. If I had tried to force what I'm doing now, the comedy, the skit writing, the creating, the acting into that world, it would not have made sense. It would have been very frustrating for me. There were lessons and beautiful parts of my story that I needed before that chapter closed. And when that chapter closed, it was bumpy. It was very bumpy, not only because financially I now didn't have income coming in for my family, but also because I didn't know what direction to go in. I felt lost. And so I had to pause everything. I had to revamp and get reconnected to myself so I could show up to the next step in my journey differently. And there isn't this beautiful package of life where it's like one day you just drop in it and everything is perfect and everything's amazing and you'll never have any struggles anymore. No. Because now that I'm doing what I'm doing, I get an opportunity to learn a lot in this environment that I'm in right now. Some of the things that I've learned being a creator and having this many eyes on me is that it is so important that my voice is the loudest and that I recognize as a creator that has had thousands and thousands of comments come in, amazing comments come in, and then at times not great comments come in, that people's comments cannot be my fuel or my source of joy or my source of creating. They're amazing, and it means the world to me when I get comments. It is so wonderful, and I absolutely love it. Like, and it also helps me in the creation process because it tells me what you want to see more of. It helps the algorithm know that, hey, this video is pretty cool. Somebody else might like this video, especially, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Like, those comments are actually what tells the app that this video is actually pretty cool. So comment on your favorite creators' videos. It is amazing. But for me, I can't get validation. I can't believe I'm only funny if you say I'm funny. I have to believe that and enjoy that in myself because my creativity and my funniness is for me first. I get to enjoy making it. I get to laugh at myself. I get to find fun props and have the best time making amazing videos. And then I get to give it to you. And that's just like, oh, the gift that keeps on giving. And then you get to share it with your friends. And then they get to, it's so incredible. It's like I'm tearing up. Like, it is just the most fun, incredible thing. I absolutely love to do it. And, your support in sharing the videos and your support in commenting on videos, it changes people's lives. Like, you're watching my videos, you're commenting, you're sharing my videos literally has changed my life. It has given me the opportunity to do this full time. And that is why I'm so grateful to you of you've given me the most amazing gift of saying, hey, I love watching what you're doing. You're so funny. And then I get to give that gift back by creating more and playing. And then, brands will be like, hey, we love your vibe. You love our lipstick. Let's talk about it. And I'm like, great. Now I get to share back with you things, brands and businesses and products that I actually really love and that I actually use. And it's such a cool, incredible thing to me. And at the same time, mentally, I've had to feel all of those things and feel the beauty of everything I just described, and also know that my value and my thoughts and my creativity and my talent in script writing and my talent in performing is not based on somebody else's opinion as if I'm funny or not. Because if I rise on someone's celebration, then I have to fall when they don't celebrate it. And I've heard that quote before, and I think it's phrased a little bit different. But I had this moment where I really learned that in one of my printer videos, made it to a side of Instagram that I was not familiar with. But actually, it wasn't a printer video. Sorry, I misspoke. It was my DIY room makeover. And the reason I just remember that is because at the time I was doing these bubble braids in my hair. It was during 2020 and I love that style. And that video made it over to Instagram, and I had hundreds and thousands of comments on someone else's Instagram saying that the room wasn't what needed to be made over. My face was, and my appearance was. And I remember at the time reading those comments, and wow, that was interesting to me to experience that. And I learned something about myself, that I do not want to go on other people's Instagrams that share my stuff and read those comments. For a really long time, I did not read any Instagram comments just because I was like, I have to protect my mental health. I cannot have, when I say thousands, I mean hundreds of thousands. Just people were being so mean. And I know that when people are saying that kind of stuff online, it's because they're hurt and because there's, stuff going on in their life. It doesn't have anything to do with the creator. It has everything to do with the pain that they're experiencing in their life. But at the time, it felt so personal that I was sharing something that I had super fun making and was really, proud, and inspired a lot of people. And, having a lot of people say hey, you're the one that needs to be made over was really tough. And so I learned in that moment, how am I going to view people's feedback? And how am I going to view people's negative feedback? And that is a really easy thing to say. It is very easy to say this. Practically walking this out is very complicated and very difficult. And I'm not even a creator that has had people come over to my own page and really say a lot of hurtful. You guys have been amazing. My fans have been incredible. It's so wonderful to meet you guys out in person because you're just so delightful and so charming and lovely and loving and amazing. And I'm so grateful for that. But I know other creators have had hate and just, people being horrible to them. And I don't know what that is like on my own personal page, but just seeing that one experience was like, wow, this is really tough. And I've had a lot of people say like, oh my God, how do I have a viral video? Or yeah, I would love to build a big audience. And I'm like, that is amazing. Great, do it. Create and play and do it. Make and enjoy yourself and grow a following. That's amazing. But also understand that part of this job is that you mentally have to be okay, and you mentally have to really be grounded in yourself and really be grounded in what do I believe about myself, what is true, and build boundaries to help protect yourself from other people that may be hurting and wanted to take it out on your own page. And I had that happen this morning. Actually, I had somebody leave a comment that wasn't great, and I didn't feel like upset in my body. I blocked the person and deleted the comment, but it does, like, it is a reminder of like, this is part of it. And I definitely would want people to know, like, it sounds like glamorous to build like a really big following, and it feels glamorous, like, oh my God, like so many followers. And there are parts of it that it's amazing and it's so fun and it's what a cool thing to do. And on the other side, it means that you have more attention on you, which means that not all that attention is going to be positive. And so if a creator were to ask me like, all right, where would I start? I would say, do you have a therapist? Like, do you have a space where you can make sure that you're taking care of yourself? That's number one. And that will be my number one forever. Like, I love therapy. I'm in weekly therapy. I talk about it a lot. I talk about my therapist a lot. Like, it has been so helpful for me. Not necessarily like in the world of creating, but because I haven't needed it in that space quite yet. But in the world of just personal development and working through stuff as a child and kind of all those things, and making sure that I'm okay so that I can show up and create in my best self. But starting off with a therapist, and then I've had people ask me about like, okay, like how do I get started? And I think that the number one thing to do in getting started is just start. You're going to learn along the way. You're not going to know what your account is going to look like in 5 years. You just aren't. You will learn that as you go, and you'll learn more about yourself. But I think just starting is a great place to go. And, it doesn't mean that you have to have, 1 million followers or whatever. Like, if you have a story to tell, if you have creativity that you want to express, just start. Don't worry about where you're going. Just worry about right now. Like, come back to right now. It's a little anxiety exercise. We are not going to worry about what's going to happen tomorrow because we haven't gotten there, okay? We're going to worry about today, because otherwise we're just worrying about it twice, right? So we're going to come back to today, and we're like, what can you make today that is going to make you happy? What can you make today that is an extension of you in a way that is going to allow you to play? And again, it doesn't have to be online. You don't have to do online. That could be in writing. That could be in, baking. It could be in, being a mother. I was told at times in my life where I was feeling frustrated with like my career growth and just, at the time that I was trying to build, I was a single parent. It's very hard to build a business when you're a single parent, and I did it successfully, and I'm really proud of that. But at the time, I was watching other people in their lives that did not have kids and who had a partner who were building their business with them, because I was in a world of entrepreneurs. That is the main world that I worked in, and I'm an entrepreneur. So I was watching people who didn't have the same variables as me run faster and farther than me. And it felt so frustrating, because I was like, I'm never going to be able to get there. Like, I'm over here with 2 kids, and every single decision that I made around my work-life balance revolved around my children, especially when they were younger. I never worked while they were awake. I would work when they were, at school and at naps and at bedtime. So they had a very present mom their entire life, and that was a priority for me. So watching other people who were able to really have double the workload and not have, kids, they didn't have to, half their day was not spent, caring for other kids, was really challenging for me. But coming back to my variables and coming back to my life, and what did I have, and what resources did I have in my creativity and my skills and my beliefs and my core values, what did I want, and not looking at anybody else, but looking at the past version of me. And if you could take anything forward from this video, take forward this with you. Don't compare yourself to the people around you. Compare yourself to your past version of yourself. Let your past version of yourself be the inspiration for being one step ahead, one step further. Even if you just grow 1% every day, by the end of the year, that's 365% better than you were before. So take that with you. I hope that you learned a thing or two about the creation process. It has been, again, like such a joy to create. The various tools that I'm using to create different things run from TikTok to Canva. I edit all my videos in CapCut. I've used Splice before. But remember, it's not necessarily about the tool. The tool is not what makes the magic. The magic is you being connected to yourself, being connected to things that make you happy, and you doubling down on the things that you do best. And that can be in any area of your life, and paying attention to those common themes in your life, which sets me up to tell you about more content that you're gonna see from me is more makeup content, because I have been doing hair and makeup almost every single day of my life since I was 10, 13 years old. I love hair and makeup. On my worst days, on the worst days of my life, I did a full face. I love makeup. So I'm gonna be doing more makeup, more comedic tutorials, because that's just how I roll. But a lot of you guys have wanted to know more about my makeup, my hair, and how to actually do some of the looks that you've seen. So you're gonna be seeing more of that, and I'm really excited. So thank you again so much for watching. Again, your support means the world. Those comments, those likes, those shares, it does a world of difference to tell the algorithm, hey, this video is actually pretty cool and somebody else might like watching it. So if you've enjoyed my video, please like and share, please subscribe. It does mean a lot, and it does tell YouTube, it does tell Spotify, it tells Instagram, it tells TikTok that you're enjoying the content. So thank you again so much. I hope you learned a thing or two. Please leave a comment. Tell me about your favorite part, and tell me about anything else that you'd like to hear more about in my creation process and or my life, because you guys are the ones that help create this incredible space where we get to be ourselves and enjoy comedy and enjoy realness. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you again soon. Okay, bye.